So, hello, we are joined by Daan van der Bruggen, I hope I said that right, the European Director of Frederique Constant. So, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me today on this recording. And let me start to congratulate you with the setup of this festival in this new era where we live in. You did a fully digital version of the festival, and it looks amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I think we're all very excited and happy that it's the first time that this has ever happened. So it's going to get better in the future, but we are all pioneers together this weekend.
I hope also to see you live again and to be able to shake hands and have a laugh together. But for the moment, I think this is a fantastic solution. Very good job.
Well, of course, you're invited anytime to us here in Poland. I have a few questions for you. So let's get started. We're all looking forward to hearing your answers. My first question for you is, can you tell us about the history of the Frederique Constant brand?
Yes, of course. The brand was founded with a particular vision to let more people enjoy luxury. So basically bringing the style and the feeling of these top Swiss brands, but to be more accessible to a wider range of people. And the brand was founded by Peter and Aletta Stas, a couple from the Netherlands who positioned their brand in Switzerland in 1988. So we're actually quite a young brand in that sense. From there, we built further, and at the moment we are a global brand, a very strong brand, but still holding very strongly to the DNA of offering accessible luxury.
Okay, thank you. And what period in the history of Frederique Constant would you consider a breakthrough for the brand?
It's a hard question to answer, because there's obviously quite a lot that I could say here. From the moment that a Dutch couple founded a Swiss brand in the heart of watchmaking Switzerland was already, of course, quite a bold situation to do and to build further from there. But what I would say as the most kind of a turning point would be the development of our own movements within this DNA of accessible luxury. And this was started in 2001, where the development was taken on. And in 2004, we presented and launched our first own manufacture movement. And this was at the price range of approximately 2,000 euros. So this was absolutely a unique moment. And obviously from there, we built further on this, on our own movement development. And by now we have 29 to almost 30 of our own movements, all still within this DNA of accessible luxury. So I think that's the main turning point in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And can you tell us about, or maybe introduce us to, some of the flagship watches that have been created over the last few years?
Yes, of course. Well, first of all, within the manufacture collection, there's a wide variety of different types of movement. But for the sake of the interview, let me at least name one that has been extremely well received from conception, which is the World Timer. This is a beautiful, technology, full of technology, and you can basically set the different time zones that are displayed on the city disc, all by just using the crown. And I think this is one of the most iconic manufacture pieces we launched in the previous years. But outside of the world of manufacture, there has also been a great story of development, for example, with the horological smartwatch. We were the very first Swiss brand bringing a horological smartwatch to the market, which meant a watch that looks like a beautiful, classical, typical Swiss brand, a Swiss watch, but with the connectivity via Bluetooth and an app, and having all these kinds of extra features. And I'm proud to say that we were the first in that. And in the ladies' collections, one of the iconic watches that were launched in the past was the Lady Automatic, especially with the open dial feature, the open heart feature. And this has also become quite an iconic style for our brand.
Okay, thank you. And could you describe for us, please, this year's Frederique Constant watch collection?
Yes, obviously. There's quite a lot of what we call line extensions. So we have, for example, a collection called the Runabout. We have added a new version of that. New lady collections, also in a more entry price range style, which are very well received. But if I would like to touch two of the main launches, first of all, it's the new smartwatch collection, where we introduce all the features that we had from the previous smartwatches, but added with a heart rate sensor. This is made by Philips, a well-known Dutch major player, Philips, the healthcare part. And they created a very strong, very good heart rate sensor that we use in our watches. This watch is called the Vitality. There's both a gents and the ladies variation to this collection. And I think this was launched in June, and this has been very well received. And it shows also, besides our DNA of offering accessible luxury, it also really shows our heart is really in the development and in the creation of new things, and also taking some bold statements. Secondly, the last launch that we did was on the 8th of September, and it's basically the revival of a collection that we had in the 90s, and it's called the High Life collection. The High Life collection, the beauty of this is it's integrated vertically into our core collection, which means that we have a beautiful, iconic case design with integrated bracelets. Really, the following also, of course, the trends that you see in the Swiss industry, but it's a revival from the past. And the vertical integration means that we use the same beautiful design of the case, but in 3 different variations. So there is a little bit more of a high-end manufacture high life with the perpetual calendar manufacture movement, our own movement. Then there is a COSC variation, so automatic movement with the COSC certified. And there is the heartbeat, the High Life heartbeat, with, of course, the iconic open dial. And this has been tremendously well received, and this is really the strongest launch we have done for this year.
Okay, thank you. And who's the customer, the person who decides to buy and wear a Frederique Constant watch?
Well, as we basically broaden up a little bit the accessibility of these Swiss watches, offering more value for every dollar spent in a way. The base of our customers is pretty broad. To narrow it down, it's more or less the people in the age, let's say, around the early 30 or late 20s, early 30s, and going up a little bit. And especially the persons that are buying their first or maybe second Swiss watch, especially as they can already obtain, for example, a manufacturer watch or something that has a lot of value inside for a relatively friendly price. So it's more or less the people that start in their professional careers in their beginning of their 30s, so to say, with their first or second serious jobs, and then buying their first or second Swiss watch.
Okay. And how do you see the future and the development of brand watches in the next decade or so?
For our brand or in general?
Well, for your brand and in general.
Both. Yeah, both is maybe hard to answer, but yeah, let me start with Frederique Constant. For us, it's key importance that we stick with our DNA. This is to offer the accessible luxury. We have seen all the successes from the late 80s and beginning of the 90s, then to the moment where we launched our manufacturer collections. All of this has still been within this accessible luxury DNA, and this we will continue to do. Besides that, it's a huge benefit for us that we are so innovative as a brand. And without saying too much, but I already know that there is some extremely innovative movements coming out from our side, our own movement. This will be the beginning of next year, so it's classified in that way. But we're really going to continue in the road of innovations and really some breakthroughs in terms of watchmaking. Besides that, what you see in our brand is that we really, especially with the High Life collection, with the little bit steel bracelet style, the integrated bracelet style, that we slowly also try to grab a little bit of a younger audience, let's say, so for our watches. Then in general, yeah, obviously it's hard to say, but I think there is a trend where you see that a few strong brands become stronger and stronger over the years, and that there's a little bit of smaller brands, known names, but still a little bit smaller. They seem to not really keeping up with the developments, and especially with the blow from the Corona crisis. I'm a bit afraid that these little bit smaller brands they have a hard time to survive. And I really hope that by next year or the years coming, there will still be the same number of Swiss watch brands. But I'm afraid it's going to be tough for many. So maybe the strong ones will get even stronger, where the so to say weaker ones, with all the respect, but it seems that they might be a little bit overruled by the deep pockets of the big brands.
Right. Okay. Only time will tell. But let's hope there's a bright future for everyone.
I really hope so. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now then, is there anything I haven't asked you that I should have asked you? That's my final question.
No, I don't think so. I'm just looking down on my notes, but no, not really. No, obviously it's interesting for me to learn, but this is not something that you can already answer now. But obviously it's interesting for me to see how the feedback will be to a digital event like you have set up all together, and what I'm allowed to participate in. I really hope for a great success for this, and I think it will, because it looks fantastic. And yeah, the future will tell whether this will be successful, or whether we next year will be able to go back to normal, so to say, and really have these real life watch shows again, where we can meet each other, meet with the prominent people and in the industry, other brands, and share our thoughts and feedback. But for the moment, I'm very curious how this will develop further.
Okay, well, but our conversation is going to be available for people to watch for the whole year up until our next festival. So we'll be able to revisit this conversation this time next year and find out where we are then.
Yes, that would be good. And yeah, like I said, I really hope that that the success that you have had in the past with the festival remains as strong as it is now that we do it digitally. And maybe a combination can also be thought of. But yeah, there's nothing beats coming to Poland and meet in person, I would say.
Okay, well, as I say, you're always welcome to come and see us, as is anyone else who's outside of the country at the moment. Mr. Bruggen, van der Bruggen, thank you very much for your time indeed, and we look forward to seeing you here in person in the near future.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on.
You're gonna be my lover tonight. I'll take you with me, take you with me. What if I left? Don't even know.